Hello everyone and welcome back to Sector 6, and today I'm going to be looking at some of the Material Ultimania Plus translations. So recently we had the Material Ultimania Plus drop, and in it there's a lot of different translations. There's a big Q&A that kind of runs through the book with Toriyama. There's also script notes, there's other staff member comments, things like that. So we're going to take a look at them. Now initially I was going to do it as one big video, but I think it's going to be easier to split it up into a couple of videos. Probably, maybe 3 videos. I'm going to try for 2, maybe 3. Now, like I say, I've split these off into sections, so we've got like a section for Avalanche, a section for Shinra, a section for Tifa. But in this episode today, I'm going to focus on 2 of what I think are the more interesting sections, and that's going to be the Aerith section and the Sephiroth section. Don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for future content. It massively helps the channel and helps us grow. Also, don't forget to check out the Big 7 series. We've got 2 episodes up so far, with the next episode dropping in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. But, let's get straight on with it. So, I think the first thing to do is we're going to start off with the Sephiroth translations. So, the first one that I'm going to look at is the 7 seconds until the end translation. And this is basically the script from that scene at the Edge of Creation, where Sephiroth says to Cloud, 7 seconds until the end, time enough for you perhaps. And the little sub-note for this is Sephiroth says these words with a smile on his face. If they don't fight together, all Sephiroth would do is just mess with Cloud. And then Sephiroth goes on to say the future is up to you, Cloud. And when Cloud turns around, Sephiroth's gone, but in his place is a black feather. And then the question that's posed to Toriyama is what kind of secret meaning is hidden within the words 7 seconds until the end? And Toriyama answers, the area where you see Cloud and Sephiroth fighting in the last scene is called the end of the world. Now I thought it was the edge of creation, but I'm going to guess that's potentially a translation difference. I don't know, let me know in the comments. Toriyama continues, it's the edge of the world, space and time. A place where time has stopped. Time is running out before the end of the world, and thus is represented by the word 7 seconds prior. If time were to resume, either the world will meet its doom within 7 seconds, or with some kind of power, the path of space and time can be changed. This is why Sephiroth tells Cloud, it is up to you. And this definitely leans in, like the main thing that I take from this is this continued thread that Sephiroth needs Cloud for something. And it seems to be much more than it has been previously. So previously, obviously in the original game, he needs Cloud to bring the black materia to him. But then once that's done, Sephiroth's plan is, that's it. Sephiroth can carry on about his business, then he doesn't need Cloud anymore at that point. Later on it becomes that Sephiroth needs Cloud to remember him so that he can remain tethered to existence and maintain himself and keep his individuality. But it's starting to seem more and more that Sephiroth needs Cloud to do. There's something intrinsic tied into what Sephiroth wants and Cloud's actions. We've not really got much of an indication as to what that could be, but there's definitely something there, 100%. Sephiroth desperately needs Cloud. And I think in part 2 we'll definitely get some context as to why. I don't think we'll get all the answers. I think we'll get some of the answers. We'll probably get what Sephiroth wants Cloud to know. Because this is all going back to Sephiroth being that master manipulator. That's exactly what he is. It's exactly what he was in the OG. It's exactly what he's always been. He manipulates and gets what he wants. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that going forwards in Remake now. And then the next translations that I've got regarding Sephiroth individually are about the appearance at the start of the game in Chapter 2. Now the question that's posed to Toriyama is the Sephiroth that appears in Chapter 2 and the Sephiroth that we see in Chapter 18's Edge of Creation are both trying to avoid the destruction of the planet, but are the two connected? Toriyama says that the Sephiroths that you see throughout the game are all different, whether it's an illusion that only Cloud sees or a vision that Sephiroth created of himself, a vision represented by the cloaked figures, or even Sephiroth himself. So if you remember back, we got in one of the previous Ultimanias, we got that chart of the 4 different types of Sephiroth interaction. That's them right there. And Toriyama continues, all of these stem from the will and conscience of Sephiroth that is at play here. They all mention the same goals, but they all seem to be toying with Cloud's heart. Now the next question is, when Sephiroth says, these are our precious memories, it brings to mind the line where Cloud says in Advent Children, stay there in my memories. What exactly is the meaning behind this? And Toriyama answers that Sephiroth's physical body is dead, killed by the hands of Cloud himself, but even so he is a part of Cloud's memories. For Sephiroth, Cloud is one of the few people who he thinks understands him and can serve as either a comrade or an old rival, so he wants to keep this strong connection of him. Because of this, he uses the word memories to refer to those thoughts. And I think this plays into that connection between Cloud and Sephiroth, where Sephiroth needs Cloud to remember him so that he can remain tethered to existence. I think that's definitely what this plays into. I'm going to quickly look at another translation that we've got from Audrey as well. And this one is, again, talking about Chapter 2. And it's when Sephiroth says, "Run, Cloud, run away. You have to leave, you have to live." He's repeating Cloud's mother's last words, which only Sephiroth knows. Cloud recognises his mother's line and cries out, "You bastard," and that's when he runs at him and goes to attack him with the sword. Now this is interesting because those two, like the last two lines of this post seem to contradict each other. That Sephiroth is the only person who knows Claudia's last words, but Cloud recognises the line and cries out. So how does that work? Now, I've seen a lot of discussion on this. A lot of people are talking about how Cloud was unconscious, like on the ground outside his family home in Nibelheim when this happened. So there is a potential that Cloud did hear it. I've also seen the theory that Cloud and Sephiroth's memories are connected, but that it's not a one-way system. So it's not just that Sephiroth can manipulate Cloud, but it's also that Cloud can remember certain things that he shouldn't be able to remember. And that could potentially explain why he has certain memories from the Nibelheim incident. I'm uncertain on this. While I do recognise there is a connection with Cloud and Sephiroth and memory and things like that, I don't think Cloud has a say in the matter or anything like that. I don't think this is Cloud accessing a memory because Sephiroth said something. I think this is Sephiroth pushing a memory on Cloud, and then Cloud's reacting. He's trying to destabilise Cloud, because he wants Cloud to be in that unstable state. Because as we've seen in the original game, when he's in that state, he's easily controlled by Sephiroth. So that's what I think is going on here. And it happens right at the start of the game. It makes sense that he's trying to get under Cloud's skin and rattle it. So yeah, that's where I am with this. I don't think Cloud has got a direct connection to Sephiroth's memories, but I do think Sephiroth has kind of pushed this memory onto him in the same way that towards the end of the game we see memories being pushed onto members of the party by the planet, it would seem, or by the Whispers, like, no, this is what we're trying to protect, please leave us alone, that kind of thing. That's what I think. I think there's a lot of memories being shared, but that's something I'll definitely go into at a later date. But yeah, from both of these translations, it's definitely driving home my belief that I originally had about Sephiroth manipulating Cloud, wanting Cloud to be more unstable than he was previously, so that he can accelerate what he wants. Because in Remake, my interpretation of it is that Sephiroth has been restrained by the planet. He has been trapped within Midgar in some capacity, whether that is just trapped by the planet in the real Midgar, or whether the planet has created like an alternative Midgar from the livestream's memory and trapped Sephiroth in there. I don't know, I'm kind of working through that myself at the moment, and there will be a video coming that explores that possibility. But either way, Sephiroth is still definitely trying to get what he wants, and what he wants is to be free and to have his power. So he goes really hard, really early, manipulates Cloud, messes with him, destabilises his brain, and we see how that ends. When you get to the end of the game on the highway, the party, led by Cloud and Aerith, do exactly what Sephiroth wants. Because Sephiroth has got no concerns about losing that fight. He's already got what he wanted. The Whispers have been defeated. That's what he needed. Everything after that is just Sephiroth having fun, literally. That's how I've always viewed it. Sephiroth's just kind of like, right, got what I want, let's have a little bit of a play. And continue to manipulate Cloud, which is why we get that scene at the edge of creation. Because he wants to keep Cloud on the hook. And yeah, I'm quite happy that this Ultimania seems to be confirming that for me. So that's a good thing. For me, at least. So that's the end of the Sephiroth section of these translations. There probably are more translations than this, more sections. This is all I've been able to grab so far. We do talk more about Sephiroth in the Aerith sections in a minute. But yeah, I am looking for more translations on this, and as I find them, I will put content together and, let you know what I'm thinking. But let's get on to the Aerith section now. And like I say, There's a lot more in the Aerith section, because Aerith is massively important to the storyline in general. So, not to say Sephiroth isn't, but even though we've seen a lot of Sephiroth, there still needs to be that mystique around him, and I think they are maintaining it. We don't know what he wants. We know what he wanted in Remake, but we don't know what he wants now. We don't know what his plan is really going forwards. So there is still a lot of mystique around him. Whereas with Aerith, they've given us more from what I can see. So we're going to start off with some of the more innocuous stuff, and then we'll jump into the bigger boy stuff. So the first one is going to be about the yellow flowers in Aerith. So the question is, Aerith says that the yellow flowers are guiding the way for her, but what does that mean? Toriyama answers, from the time where Aerith first appears in Sector 8, the things that she has experienced or thoughts that she has had, things she has lost, have all been represented by the yellow flowers. The people of Midgar stepped on her flowers, and she also gives Cloud a flower when they first meet. Perhaps the flowers even represent a future where flowers can bloom on the planet. However, just like the falling petals, she feels that the whispers are stealing something from her, making her lose something within her that makes her feel lost. So with the flowers, like I feel like the flowers are just a bit of a... It's a visual thing. I don't think there's much there. I think the juicy bit of this post is talking about the whispers, and it just kind of goes to confirm that the whispers are stealing some of Aerith's essence, so to speak. They're making her lose something within her, is literally what Toriyama says. And we have seen discussions in the game where Aerith's saying that every time that the whispers touch her, something's being taken away from her. And we do get a little bit more mention of this to do with the whispers in another set of questions. So the first question is, when Cloud and Aerith are talking in the church, visions of some apparition appear. Did something trigger these visions? And Toriyama says the materia wrapped in Aerith's hair that her mother gave her was the catalyst for these visions. What Cloud saw was a scene that symbolises what may happen to them in the future. Now, a lot of people have interpreted this as the white materia has power and transmits these memories. I'm not 100% on that. I kind of feel that this conversation is the thing that triggers this memory for Cloud. So, like I was saying, a lot of people believe that it is the white materia that's doing it. I genuinely don't think so. I personally feel that it's what Aerith said. Mine's good for nothing. Because that is, I don't know if it's word for word, but it's very reminiscent of what she says about the materia in the original game. And that is what triggered the memory with Cloud. Because pretty much all of these flashes that Cloud has are triggered by something. He sees something that reminds him, or someone says something that reminds him of back then in the OG. So a lot of these things are triggered by memories for Cloud. Memories that I don't think he's got full access to. He's kind of got partial access to them. And this comes into my theory of the live stream being contaminated with the OG timeline's memories and the live stream of the OG timeline. But that is for another video. That is coming. Now the next question is, when Aerith said to Cloud that he was a mercenary, it's written like it was a slip of the tongue. How does Aerith know that Cloud is a mercenary? Toriyama says this is made clear in chapter 17, as Aerith has a lot of various memories that allow her to know many things, but she tries to not make this known to those around her. So, just briefly stepping in, this very similar to what I was just saying a minute ago, the live stream of Remake, so that live stream of the Gaia that Remake takes place in, has been contaminated by these memories. And I personally believe it's to do with when Sephiroth has done what he's done. So Sephiroth has clearly come back, and I think when he's come back, he's contaminated the timeline with these memories. Whether he's done that intentionally or accidentally, I'm not sure. But yeah, carrying on, Toriyama says, however, one of the memories allowed her to know for some reason that Cloud was a merc, and she accidentally let that line slip. Some of the whispers in the story are trying to steal away the memories that Aerith has within her. And that definitely links back to what we were just looking at a minute ago with the Yellow Flowers translation, where, however, just like the falling petals, she feels that the whispers are stealing something from her. And it's those memories that the whispers are stealing from her. And again, I believe this leans into a lot of my beliefs, and it's giving me a lot of confirmation that I'm at least on the right kind of track, because if I was on the wrong track, none of these confirmations would be happening for me. But no, being serious, like I'm saying, It fits that the Whispers are trying to take these memories away from Aerith. The livestream's been contaminated, the memories from the original timeline are running rampant throughout the livestream, and because Aerith, as a Cetra, has that stronger connection with the livestream, she's getting more of the picture than anybody else. Like, Cloud's got that connection to the livestream, potentially due to unknown circumstances. We don't really know everything about Cloud's origin story yet. I'm hopeful we get some answers on that front, but at the very least he's got that connection due to the Mako, like the intense Mako that he was subjected to from Hojo, and the Genova cells that were clearly used on him. He's obviously got some sort of a connection, but that connection isn't allowing him to pick and choose which memories he can see. It seems with Aerith, she has a control over this. It's very interesting. I'm really happy that this has been confirmed. Now next we're going to look at the playground scene. Now the question is, when Aerith says Zack's name, Cloud appears to have a headache. Is this because in order to protect his false memories, something is causing a reaction? And Toriyama says this occurs when Cloud has an excessive reaction to a name he either doesn't want to recognise or hear. Now, this date scene in Evergreen Park is also present in the original Final Fantasy VII, which was very memorable. However, when you think about how Cloud imagines that Aerith was once on a date in the same place with someone else, he has rather complicated feelings. This perhaps increases the depth to his character. Now, the way that this is phrased, I've gone over this in another video, so go and check out that other video if you want me to dive into this a bit deeper. It is phrased a little bit that Cloud doesn't want, he's choosing to not recognise or hear this word, this name, but I don't think that's the case. I think it's subconscious. I think it's his brain protecting itself, basically, because there's going to be a lot of these memories, and like I say, it feeds back to this slightly more unstable Cloud. In the original game, he doesn't react like this, because in the original game, he's not unstable yet. He's not, Sephiroth's not even been mentioned yet, so there's no threat to Cloud's psyche at this point. Obviously, he's a mess, and he's appropriated a lot of Zack's memories and kind of plugged the gaps in his own life, so to speak, so that he can present himself as this successful, heroic guy. But he doesn't have a headache when Zack's name's mentioned to him because he's not unstable. Sephiroth, however, has already made him unstable in Remake. He's destabilised his mind, and because of that, hearing Zack's name is a threat to his mental stability. So his brain protects itself. Same sort of thing when Hojo says it as well. I don't think that's the Whispers or the planet or anything else stepping in the way. I think that's just Cloud's broken brain going, oh no, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen, don't listen. Literally, I think that's what's happening. Then the Whispers come in and swoop Hojo away, if you remember. So they don't interact with Cloud to stop him, they interact with Hojo to stop him. So they don't have, it seems at least, that they don't have any control over Cloud's memories whatsoever. And this is why I don't think it's, I think that's a translation thing. I don't think he's saying that Cloud doesn't want to recognise or hear. It's that Cloud's subconscious cannot recognise or hear that word due to how unstable he is. That's where I'm at least with this bit. Now the next scene is where Tifa asks Aerith to save Marlene. And what I'll do is I'll quickly go through it. So Tifa, I'm sorry I can't stay here, I have to help them. Aerith says go, follow your heart. Tifa nods and then a worried expression crosses her face. Aerith, there's a bar at the centre of town, 7th Heaven, I need you to... And then Aerith says, get Marlene to safety, right? It's okay, I'll find her. And then the subtext of this says that Tifa knows that she's never talked about Marlene to Aerith, so for a moment she's very surprised. Aerith looks at her with sharp eyes and smiles gently. Tifa is slightly confused, but Aerith's expression gives her strength and she readies herself to go forth. Tifa thinks it's strange that Aerith knew about Marlene even before she explained the situation. Again, confirmation. This is, Aerith has got these future memories, she knows what's going on, she's already played Final Fantasy VII, she knows the deal. Now the next one is a question posed to Toriyama. So in the scene where Cloud watches Aerith walk away, the script says his fingers buzzed and his eyes burned. This caused him to recall a scene from the original FF7's Forgotten City, and this overwhelming anxiety made him let out a tear. Why did this happen? Toriyama says spending time with Aerith is fun, although the unstable future teeters back and forth upon them. Even though this scene is only showing Aerith casually meeting up with Cloud, There might be something from Cloud and Aerith that is at work here during these precious moments. In addition, in the original Final Fantasy VII, there is a similar scene in the Sleeping Forest, where Aerith is featured with similar composition and movements, and it's possible that one of the causes of Cloud's tear is because a memory of the future was awakened. And again, this fits exactly with what I've been saying. Cloud's having these little memories triggered within him of the future. He's seeing the events of Final Fantasy VII, because in my belief, like I've said, these memories have polluted Remake's timeline because of Sephiroth. Okay, now we're going to start getting into the slightly juicier bits. Now the first one, when Marlene hugged Aerith, it seemed like she saw something. What exactly happened during that scene? Toriyama says, when you come into contact with Aerith, depending on that person's sensitivity, and that's an interesting line, visions start to appear that pass through time and space. Marlene was frightened in Seventh Heaven, and as Aerith tried to calm her down, her own frantic thoughts brushed with Marlene. During this, Marlene saw something that she was not supposed to see. As to exactly what she saw, I'll leave that to the imagination of the players at that point. So first off, Toriyama being an absolute dick tease there, thank you. But this is pretty interesting because it confirms that Marlene has got some additional sensitivity as far as it goes, like the planet, the live stream, everything like that. And yeah, where's that come from? Where does that additional sensitivity come from? There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of theories that are going on about Marlene and like her potentially being a Cetra or something like that, or part Cetra. It's possible, but there's definitely something there. They've flat out said, yeah, there's something there. As for what she saw, given the context of the game in general, I would assume it was probably something to do with what's about to happen. So Platefall, that would be my guess. But it is possible that it's more than that. It could be something to do with Meteor, it could be something to do with the events of Advent Children and Geostigma, it could be numerous things. I would assume, just given what's going on, Aerith's going to be panicking, she's thinking about the plate falling. That's what Aerith's going to be thinking about in that moment, because that's what's happening. She knows that that plate is coming down. She knows that that Cloud, Barret, Tifa, they're not going to win this fight. She already knows that. From her perspective, she's in a mad rush to get Marlene out of there as quickly as possible. But she also knows she's about to get captured by the Shinra as well. So I think all of this is what's been conveyed to Marlene. Could be wrong, but I think the bigger thing to take from this is, why has Marlene got that sensitivity, that additional sensitivity? The same as Red 13. Red 13, you can understand it to a certain degree. With Marlene, there are very few suitable answers that aren't, she's part Cetra, or she's a distant descendant of the Cetra, or something like that. I don't think they're going to come out and be like, yep, she's a Cetra, Mummy was a Cetra, 100% she is as much of a Cetra as Aerith at the very least. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be something like she's distantly connected to the Cetra bloodline or something like that. So it's going to be like a 16th Cetra or something daft. I don't know. That's my feeling at least. But there's something. There's definitely something. And yeah, good stuff. Now, the next one we're going to look at is the resolution scene. So the first thing that we've got a question which is, you can't fall in love with me even if you think you have. It's not real. Aerith says these lines, but what exactly was the intent? And Toriyama responds that at this point in the game, Aerith is physically locked up in the Shinra building. However, through some type of conscience, she's able to use the live stream to bring forth an Aerith that has memories closest to the future. Now, I'm not going to touch that for a minute. I'm going to carry on. Her words not only are for Cloud, but she may also be speaking to herself as well. Despite what her words request, perhaps her true heart and thoughts are closed off. Now, there's a lot. There's a lot to unpack from this one. So, first things first, bringing forth an Aerith that has memories closest to the future. The only thing that I can think of that fits with my beliefs about the story and how things are going. So obviously I've got my belief and my theories for where things are going. And the thing that fits this best from here would be that when Sephiroth has come back and the live stream has contaminated the remake live stream, so the OG's live stream, that original continuity, that live stream has contaminated this live stream. Aerith is a part of that live stream. So is it possible that Aerith's consciousness from the OG's live stream has partially or fully or a fragment of it or something has made it into this corrupted remake live stream? If that's the case, it opens up a lot of possibilities. We have two Aeriths then, technically. We have the Aerith that exists in the remake, and we have the Aerith that exists in the live stream fighting and resisting against Sephiroth. It's very reminiscent of the things that go on in Advent Children and in Maiden and in everything like that. All of the books that we got around Advent Children is very reminiscent of that kind of stuff. Now, one question I would have is, why is Aerith, who's locked up in the Shinra building, why does she need to bring forth another Aerith? Why can she not just project herself to Cloud? That's what I always thought this scene was. Aerith locked up in the Shinra building is projecting a message to Cloud via the live stream. She does it in the OG with the Sleeping Forest scene that we've already looked at. So, you know, there's precedent for it. She's definitely done it before. Why not now? That was my thinking, at least. But it's very, very, very interesting that she's brought forth another Aerith. And it definitely hints to me that the Aerith from the OG timeline, in some capacity, either exists in the remake's live stream or can communicate using that live stream as a medium in some way. Now, we do have the line from Picture in the Past, which is an Aerith-related story, which says, can two people be connected through time via the live stream? It's a dead comment as far as that story goes, but it's a really tantalising little tidbit of information when you drag it out of that short story and apply it to the context of Remake overall. It's, yeah, very interesting. Now, we do have a bit more on the resolution scene. We have the script from it, so I'm going to put that on screen now. I'm not going to read through it all. And it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird because it starts off with Aerith knows this is not a dream. She uses the powers of the Sceptra to allow her to come here and see Cloud, and this is not a dream. Cloud does not know what to do. So that line itself seems to contradict what Toriyama's just said about Aerith calling forth and summoning forth another Aerith. So, yeah, I need to look into that more. Maybe another translation will shine a bit more light on it. Maybe Toriyama just misspoke. Maybe the translation's always going to be difficult because there's a lot of context in Japanese and it's difficult to bring it across accurately to English. I understand that completely, so it may just be something simple like that. But these two lines seem to contradict each other, to me at least. The story carries on, so I'm not going to read over it because we've all played the game, you know, we know what goes on this scene. It's interesting about halfway, 2/3 of the way down the page where we see that Aerith, I'll read it, Aerith turns her head and it seems like she notices something. She looks sad. Cloud follows her line of sight and sees the skies above Sector 7 shining with a green light that looks almost like an aura. It's the souls of those who died from the platefall returning to the live stream. Now, I'm not going to lie, when I saw this, I thought this was to do with Aerith's power. So, like, she was projecting herself in this area to Cloud, and because of that, there was some kind of aura around the area that kind of facilitated Aerith doing this. That's what I always thought it was. I did notice it, but I didn't think it was the souls of the people returning to the live stream. And we don't... I mean, now that it's laid out in front of me, the rest of this conversation, so Cloud says, is that Aerith does not answer. Instead, she puts her hands together in prayer. Cloud stares at the dreamlike light in the sky, and Aerith says, everyone dies eventually. So, I mean, if you view it as the souls returning to the planet, you get a scene that's almost reminiscent of the sending scene from Final Fantasy X. Obviously, Aerith's not doing anything at this point, I don't think. It doesn't, you know, it's not said that she's doing anything. Although she does put her hands together in prayer, so maybe she is doing something. Maybe Aerith's helping these souls return to the live stream. Who knows? But it's a very interesting thing. Like I say, when I played through it, I did not get that that's what was going on. I thought it was just kind of like an aura around the area to give that more dreamlike effect for Cloud. That's genuinely what I thought it was. So yeah, I'm really happy about this bit of translation because it gives us a bit more insight into what's going on. And the scene just pans out as normal. You get everything there. I'm glad I met you, Cloud, all that sort of business. And yeah, I think the most interesting thing from this script for me is that little section there about, you know, it being the souls returning to the live stream. Like, that's the big takeaway for me from this section at the very least. And then finally, we are going to look at the highway scenes. So we do have the script for the highway scenes, and it's got a lot of subtext in it. So I didn't read the last one. I'm going to read a fair bit of this one. So straight at the start, we've got Sephiroth descends quietly to a spot located away from the group. So this is that moment at the end of the highway, chapter 18, and Sephiroth just kind of lowers himself down from the sky. Barrett goes to approach him, Aerith puts a hand out to stop him, and it says here that Aerith notices that this Sephiroth is different from the one that they saw at the Shinra building. Red 13 detects something by his sense of smell and growls. Without knowing, the others also flinch at Sephiroth's presence. And then this is where we get Aerith saying, and you're wrong. Everything about you is wrong. And the others can't keep up with Aerith and Sephiroth's conversation. So I'm going to stop here for a second. Now for me, this heavily confirms another one of my theories that I dropped about a year ago now. So when we got that interactions chart, we had the 4 different types of interaction, which was illusion, memory, black cloaks, and then question marks. They were the 4 different types of Sephiroth interaction that we got. And I said that those 4 types of interaction are split over 2 separate Sephiroths, and that the question mark one that we get at the end is Advent Children Sephiroth come back. This is him. This is actually him. And this is why Aerith, for me, is saying you're wrong. Because in the original game, you never see Sephiroth. Aerith never sees the actual Sephiroth. She's dead before we get there. Because his body is at the North Crater in the original game. Aerith never reaches that point, so she never, ever, ever sees real Sephiroth. And this is potentially why she's saying that he's wrong. Because this is a real Sephiroth. And the other thing in this line that hints it to me is that Red 13 detects something by his sense of smell. Now, we can say that some visions and some illusions can trick you into believing that you're smelling something, or that you're tasting something, that sort of thing. But this is explicitly stated in previous Ultimania not to be an illusion, not to be a vision. It's different to both of those things. And for me, in a big way, this confirms that this is probably Advent Children Sephiroth, and he's found some way to reacquire a physical form. How he's done that, no idea. But he's done something. He's definitely done something. Could it be possible that Genesis, when he takes Vice at the end of Dirge of Cerberus, takes him to Sephiroth, to be Sephiroth, in the same way that Loz Kadaj and, in the same, is it, I can never remember which one of them it is that becomes, that's one of my little gaps in knowledge there. Which one of them is it that turns into Sephiroth in Advent Children? Please let me know. I can't be bothered Googling it. Just put it in the comments below. Call me stupid. Question my old man memory. Do what you want. But yeah, carrying on. Sephiroth then starts talking about the planet, and how all born are bound to her. Should this world be unmade, so too shall her children. And Cloud interprets this as Sephiroth trying to destroy the planet, the usual Sephiroth MO, which is what Cloud doesn't want to happen, pretty much. We then get the Whispers creating the dome around Midgar. The cloud fills with black clouds composed of the group of Whispers. They create a dome around Midgar. Cloud and the others cover their ears. Sephiroth remains unbothered, perhaps even taking comfort in this. And this is because Sephiroth's getting what he wants here. So that dome, I believe, has been there all the way through Remake. It's just taking a physical form now. Previously throughout Remake, it's been restraining Sephiroth and keeping Sephiroth trapped in this reality that's been created, or this reality that existed. I'm still 50-50 on that, which way it goes. But either way, I think that Sephiroth was already trapped in Midgar. And when he sees this dome take physical form, he knows that he's close to getting what he wants. And Sephiroth straight up says, destiny comes. In the Japanese, he says, it's the cries of fate. So he's basically saying, this is it. This is destiny now. Let's do it. Let's break destiny. He's trying to bring the party to that point. Then Aerith carries on that he'd tell you that he only cares about the planet, that he'd do everything in his power to protect and preserve it, but this isn't the way it's supposed to be. Sephiroth's way of preserving the planet is to sacrifice those living, but Aerith thinks the planet does not wish for that. Now, I don't know if Aerith knows this or if this is an assumption. I mean, it depends. Sephiroth could be trying to return as much of the life stream's energy to the planet as possible so that when he tries to take over it, he's got as much energy as possible. That is a possibility. But I don't think this is confirmation that that's definitely what's going on. That would be like the basic Sephiroth plan. And I think there's a bit more going on. And I feel like the end goal is obviously that, take control of the live stream, become the god that he wanted to be, and potentially roam the cosmos like he wanted to in Advent Children. But I think there's additional layers to it that we're gonna get exposed to as we go through Remake. But yeah, it's definitely a very interesting passage, this. It carries on talking about the cries of the planet. Cloud hardens his resolve in response to the cries of the planet, and then Cloud takes over and he's like, right, let's go stop him. And that's then when we go into the live stream, the party defeats the Whispers, and Sephiroth gets exactly what he wants. And then, as one final little touch, he plays with Cloud a little bit, and that's when we get the 7 seconds from the end scene, which, like we've already gone over earlier on in the video, this is definitely where Sephiroth's manipulating Cloud and continue to twist him. He wants to put Cloud in doubt of the decisions that he's going to make, because the more doubt that Cloud's got, I feel the more insecure Cloud will be, and the more malleable Cloud will be to Sephiroth and Sephiroth's machinations. That's my thought, at least. There's still so many possibilities, but it feels to me that this Ultimania Plus, so far from what I've gone over, has definitely confirmed a lot of things to me. Other people will take that confirmation in their own way. Obviously, I need to look at additional translations because Audrey, like I say, is phenomenal, but people can accidentally put their own slant on things, and just translating languages is difficult, so it's good to get a couple of different viewpoints. So I'm definitely going to be looking at that and potentially do a follow-up video to this one specifically. But there will be a video coming soon where I look at a lot of the other translations, so a lot of the Tifa stuff, a lot of the Shinra stuff, so the Turks, Rufus, and some of the other little bits and pieces like Red 13 and Intermission and things like that. But that's going to be where I stop at this point, because I've been recording for 47 minutes. I'll probably edit it down to about 30 minutes, but yeah, it's quite a chunky video, so I'm going to chill. I'm going to chill. Definitely going to chill. Whew. But let me know what you think about what I've said in the comments below. Let me know if these translations have given you any confirmation or changed things for you. Let me know what you're thinking. Also, don't forget to let me know about that question that I asked earlier on, because, yeah, you know, just drop it in the comments below. But thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe for future content. But more importantly than anything, have a great day.